Hello, it's me, Mario. Woohoo! You watching GRTV, my favorite. Wahoo!
Last time GRTV did anything with you guys was back at GDC. Bengt Demne was there talking to both of you actually. And at the time you were just revealing Kingsmouth. And now you're here talking about London. So what is London of the secret world?
It's one of 3 hubs. Our hubs are the homes of our secret societies. In the secret world we have 3 factions, secret societies: Dragon, Illuminati, and the Templars. The Dragon are located in Seoul, Illuminati in New York, and London in London. The Templars in London. So the Templars rule and run London. They cooperate with the local government and the Metropolitan Police in order to keep a decent state of affairs when it comes to the occult world. You know, everybody's aware of it, the government is aware of it, but the Templars help them keep the secrets hidden from the civilians. But with dark days coming and evil rising, it's become necessary for the Metropolitan Police in London to sort of close off an area of London which has traditionally been an area strong in magic, strong in the occult, and that's the area that players will be able to visit in the game. It's a large neighborhood. It's one that from the outside and certain sections of it looks like the London you know. But you dig deeper and you go into the dark alleys and dwell below the streets, you'll find a London that hasn't changed for 1,000 years. A London that was, built by the Romans 2,000 years ago, occupied by the Vikings 1,000 years ago, a place of great magic, a great power, a place where you can find the oldest trees in all of the British Isles, a place where you can find strange creatures and interesting locations, and yeah, basically a very, very cool and very interesting locations to visit.
You're also talking about like the introduction of the game, where you start out. Of course, you start out in London as a Templar, but how do you have no classes, you have no levels as such. How do you introduce a player to that kind of game?
Well, we created this experience for the player that we call the Tokyo Future. Where the players get to try out different fighting styles. They get to try out a little bit of team combat and how to sort of get familiar with the combat system and the different powers that the players can use. So after a small taste of that, the progression takes them on to their headquarters in London, where they can actually go into what we call the Crucible, which is a place where they can try out the different powers on combat dummies, to sort of figure out what's my playstyle and what powers work well with each other. And once the players are happy with that, then they make their selection, and that's the powers they get to keep.
And how does this fit together with Kingsmouth, for example?
It all fits together into this huge big puzzle. Kingsmouth is basically the first location players are sent to after they've gone through their hub. For the Templars, it's basically a question of sending their people there in order to see what's going on, to make sure that the other secret societies don't get an advantage, especially Illuminati, the sort of the age-old enemies of the Templars, and Kingsmouth is a place that the Illuminati have some history with. So the relationship between the 2 factions is very important there. But that's the next area. And after Kingsmouth, there are other places in the world you're sent to as part of your ongoing mission for the Templars.
Speaking of other places in the secret world, so to speak, we've been to NCSoft, like the Guild Wars 2. We're looking at Star Wars: The Old Republic. All of this together with, for example, the secret world, have in common is this idea of a storyline and a personal storyline for the player. And of course, you especially coming from games like The Longest Journey and Dreamfall, with very strong storylines. But where is the persistent world of the secret world? Where is the MMO part, except from us outside of grouping with other players?
Well,
it's everywhere.
Yeah, basically. I mean, we have adventure playfields, which are persistent. You meet other players, you team up, you do different things. The way our missions work is there are different categories. So if you sort of don't want to do the whole grouping thing and you don't want to get into that, and you do want to sort of unravel a bit more of the mysticism and what's going on in Kingsman, for instance, or any other location, we do have some types of missions that require you to think a little bit, which is somewhat unorthodox in these MMO times. But I mean, if you're the kind of guy who likes to team up and do that, we have tons of dungeons, we have endgame raids. So it's all about finding whatever you want to do in the game. I mean, if you're a solo player, you do this. If you're a team player, you do that. If you want to investigate some stuff, you do those kinds of missions. If you just want to shoot stuff in the face, you do that.
But I think it's really important to note that our story is actually about the multiplayer setting. I think in a much bigger degree than some of the other games out there. Our story is about being one hero amongst hundreds of thousands. That's something, I mean, that's key to our storyline. Our story is not about your solo experience, about you individually changing the world. It's about you being part of this army that's being drafted by some mysterious force, something we see in the origin story. It's about you being indoctrinated into these secret societies and sent out in the world. I mean, we have a very strong focus on PvP. We haven't really talked too much about it lately, but we have some really interesting stuff in store for the PvP. And you being part of not only your group and not only your secret society, but this sort of the whole world of I don't know, guardians, heroes, that's key to the story, and that's what the game is all about. So this is a game, this is a story built around being a MMO rather than the other way around, trying to force a story into an MMO. And we really want to create a story that comments on and that relates to, again, being just one of many. When you play some MMOs, you go into a village, you've done a quest for them, and they say, "Hail our chosen one, you saved us from the great darkness." No, I did not. That guy was there just before me, and there's another guy in line right behind me. You're lying to me. And in the Secret World, we actually address this. I mean, there are lots of characters to reflect on the fact that there are tons of other people like you out there. What are you doing? It's a very sort of playing an MMO and being a character in an MMO is a very selfish thing. You're doing what you're doing really only to serve your own purpose or to serve that of your guild or your group. And that's also something that's important to this game. We address that and make sure that's part of the storyline. So I would say that this game is an MMO through and through. This is what it is. That's in its blood.
When it comes to the setting of the Secret World, when was first announced, or when the first information about the game started to come out through the one of those reality puzzle games that you guys started out, I will deny ever spending like hours together with a friend's girlfriend sitting over her computer in her apartment. But that setting was kind of, very much a mystery. Very much we didn't really know where it's going to take us. We had all the Asmids and things. It was very kind of low key but yet mysterious. And then going from there to blowing stuff up with AK-47s and fires. How do you manage to keep those alive at the same time?
You mean the Lobster Man isn't subtle? No, I think I don't know. Do you wanted to answer that or?
No, I mean it's. We have to sort of cater for both worlds here. I mean, it is an MMO, so people are expecting combat and progression and fulfilling themselves as a character. But we also have put a lot of emphasis that this is story-driven. The lore is really deep, and you are a part of a really big puzzle. When it comes to the experiences, you can have both at the same time. The way our missions work is that they're sort of tiered. So you can have a couple of sort of tiers, or you're doing stuff out in the adventure playfield with other players around. You can team up and do that. But if the game designers at Funcom, we have a tool called the mini dungeons. If we want to, for instance, let's say that we want to scare the player a bit now. We'd say, okay, go into this basement and check out what's there. So the player goes in, and in there we can play with like sounds, lights, destructibles, and create a more scripted experience if you want to sort of fulfill exactly what we want the players to experience.
But it's again important to note that, I mean, this is what the Secret World universe has been built around. It is also dark days are coming, darkness is rising, players have to band together to defeat this evil. And the way you do that, yes, sometimes it is going out and hurling fireballs at people or using your AK-47, that's natural. There are lots of missions. It's completely, we all do that, right, on weekends. But a lot of missions, a lot of stories are also about investigating things, and there are definitely parts of every mission, or a lot of missions, where it's not just about blowing shit up, it's about solving puzzles or trying to dig into the mystery of this. The fact that evil is rising, that zombies and filth-infected humans and golems and demons are rising doesn't take away from the mystery of why is this happening, what is happening, what's the cause of all this. And the story has so many layers that you dig deeper and deeper and deeper, you find answers, but you also get new questions. So that mystery is still there. I just want to make sure that people know that for the people who played here, you know, the ARG that we have nothing to do with. And I mean, that mystery is still embedded into the world. Yeah, it's not defeated by the fact that you have combat. It just makes it, you know, it evolves it. More awesome, basically. That's a word we don't hear enough, more awesome, yeah.
Probably just final question. I probably going to direct this to you. The Illuminati, New York brats. What the hell?
I have no idea how to respond to that. The Illuminati are fantastic. They have the best hardware and the coolest headquarter, and they're based in. I'm not going to spoil too much about that, right? New York will probably be the next thing we reveal in terms of hubs, and then we'll talk more about the Illuminati. But they're awesome. More awesome. Yeah, just like people from Iceland and the Dutch.
I don't even want to know. But thank you very much, guys, for your time.